signal gets thin and the night gets thick, welcome. I'm Sterling Gray, and you're listening to Strangely Odd. Lock the door, pour something warm. We've got a long, strange night ahead of us. Tonight, friends, somewhere under the wheels of traffic in Philadelphia, there is a message waiting for you to look down. Embedded in the asphalt, at intersections, in crosswalks, in the middle of streets that no one ever stops to study. Tiles, handmade, linoleum and tar, roughly the size of a license plate. And each one carrying the same strange message. Toynbee idea. In movie, 2001. Resurrect dead on planet Jupiter. That's it. That's the whole thing. No signature, no date, no explanation. Just that message. Pressed into asphalt and left to see what the world would do with it. The Toynbee Tiles started appearing in Philadelphia in the early 1980s. Then Pittsburgh, New York, Boston, Kansas City, Buenos Aires. Over 24 cities, hundreds of tiles, most of them ground to nothing by cars that never once looked down. Who put them there? No one has ever proven it. A reclusive man, a car with no passenger seat, a shortwave radio transmitting into the night about resurrection and Jupiter and the dead that don't have to stay dead. Those are the clues. Arnold Toynbee, a British historian who believed civilizations don't simply end. And someone believed it enough to press that idea into the streets of 24 cities and then vanish. Tonight I have with me Dr. Helena Marsh, urban folklorist, documentary researcher, and a woman who has spent the better part of a decade tracing these tiles across the eastern seaboard, one street corner at a time. We're going to take a short break first, and when we come back, we're going to look down, right after this.
Don't go wandering off into the dark just yet. Strangely Odd with Sterling Gray returns in just a moment. Stay with us.
You're listening to Strangely Odd. If something we said tonight rang a bell for you, tell somebody. Word of mouth is how the strange hours survive. Always has been. Share the show. Talk about it tomorrow. Or don't. And keep it for yourself. Either way, friend, we're glad you're here. You know who I'm talking to. The night shift. The truck drivers. The dispatchers. The ones who watch the moon do its slow rotation while the rest of the world sleeps. Sleepless Nights coffee was made for you. And for me. Dark roast, fair trade, brewed by people who've worked third shift themselves. A bag a month, mailed direct to your door. Sleeplessnights.coffee. They keep me going. They'll keep you going too.
You're back among the night people. Sterling Gray. Strangely Odd. Right where the dial gets interesting.
And we're back. You're listening to Strangely Odd. I'm Sterling Gray. Dr. Helena Marsh is with me tonight. She is an urban folklorist and documentary researcher who has spent years tracking one of the most quietly baffling mysteries in American history. Helena, welcome to the Strange Hours.
Thank you, Sterling. I've been wanting to talk about this on a show like yours for a long time. It belongs in the dark.
It does. It really does. Tell me how it started for you. How does someone become a tracker of something like this?
1991. I was a grad student walking to the library on Market Street in Philadelphia, and I nearly stepped on it. I almost didn't look down, but there was color in the pavement. I remember thinking, that's a piece of a rug. Someone dropped a piece of rug and it got pressed into the road somehow. And then I actually looked at it, and I stopped walking entirely. It said, Toynbee idea in movie, 2001, resurrect dead on planet Jupiter. And I stood there in the middle of Market Street for I don't know, a full minute, just reading it over and over, waiting for it to start making sense.
And it didn't.
35 years later, it still hasn't. Not completely.
Tell me about the message itself. We've got listeners who are hearing this for the first time. What does it mean, as far as anyone has ever been able to work out?
So, Arnold Toynbee, a very real British historian, early 20th century, wrote this massive work called A Study of History. 12 volumes. He was concerned with how civilizations rise and fall, and he believed they don't have to simply die, that the contributions of the dead persist, that there's a kind of ongoing conversation between the living and the dead across time. Now, whether the person who made the tiles was interpreting Toynbee literally or metaphorically or in some completely private way we'll never have access to, I genuinely don't know. That's what makes it so hard. There's a real idea at the center of this thing. It's not random.
And the 2001 connection.
Kubrick's film. That's what most researchers have landed on. The the ending of that film, the transformation, the star child, the idea of something dying and being reborn as something else entirely. There's a strong case that the Tyler saw something in that imagery that resonated with Toynbee's ideas about death and rebirth. There's also a theory that Toynbee himself wrote something, a letter or an essay, about
Wow.
resurrection on Jupiter specifically. I've spent a long time trying to track that down. I haven't been able to verify it. It might be real. It might be something the Tyler invented and believed.
Okay, so we have a real historian, a real film, a real idea, and then a very strange next step. Why Jupiter?
That is the question that has kept me up more nights than I can count. Why Jupiter? Not Mars, not the moon, Jupiter. One idea I found compelling is that Jupiter in classical astronomy was associated with abundance, expansion, the king planet. Maybe the Tyler believed Jupiter was the place where the dead could actually flourish, could be truly resurrected, not just preserved. But I want to be honest with you and your listeners. I don't know. I really don't. And I've made my peace with the possibility that the answer died with whoever made these things.
How did they make them? The tiles themselves. How do you get a handmade mosaic embedded in a city street?
This is the part that always gets me. Linoleum. The kind you'd have on a kitchen floor. Asphalt crack-filling compound, the stuff road crews use to seal splits in the pavement. You layer them together, press them, wrap the whole thing in tar paper. And then, best theory we have, you place it very early in the morning, still wrapped, looking like nothing more than a patch of road debris. And then traffic does the rest. Over days, over weeks, the weight of cars presses it flat. The tar paper wears away. And one morning, there it is. It's just part of the street.
And who was doing this? Tell me about Sevi Verna.
Severino Verna, Sevi, a reclusive man who lived in Philadelphia. His neighbors barely knew him. He apparently kept almost entirely to himself. When investigators started looking seriously at who might be behind the tiles, this is detailed in the 2011 documentary Resurrect Dead, which I'd recommend to anyone who wants to go deeper. When they started looking, one thing that came up about Sevi Verna was his car. He drove a car that had no passenger seat. Theory being, he cut a hole in the floor. He'd drive to an intersection, stop the car, drop the wrapped tile through the hole, and drive on. And traffic finished the job for him. Nobody would see anything unusual. A car stopping at a red light, then driving on.
That is, quietly extraordinary.
It really is. I mean, whoever did this had a system, a real system, and they used it for years, possibly decades.
And the radio connection.
Ham radio, shortwave. Verna apparently broadcast on shortwave frequencies, and there were people who heard him, heard transmissions about Jupiter, about resurrection, about Toynbee. At night, mostly. The kind of thing you'd stumble onto if you were scanning and you'd think, what is this? Who is this? So you have a man who is doing two things at once, embedding physical messages in the public spaces of major cities and broadcasting audio messages into the open air. It's actually a coherent strategy if your goal is getting a message out, getting noticed.
Did he use his real name?
He used an alias, James Marasco. And that name is a whole other thread because there was a real James Marasco in Philadelphia. A carpenter, died in 2003. And when investigators found his widow and asked about the tiles, she said her husband didn't know anything about it, had no interest in Jupiter. So whoever was using that name just borrowed it, which is either calculated or it's the behavior of someone who was genuinely not well. Maybe both.
There were other tiles, ones that weren't just the core message.
Yes, extension tiles. Subtiles, some researchers call them, placed alongside the standard message tiles, and these ones were different, angrier. Some of them had long rants about the news media, about newspapers specifically, about what Verna, or whoever, believed the media had done to him, to his ideas. There are references to the House of Hades, to specific journalists by name, to a belief that the establishment had actively suppressed his theory, this idea about Jupiter and the resurrection, and that they were responsible for people not knowing about it.
So there's a grievance at the center of this.
Possibly. Or there's a wound.
Wow.
I think those two things look similar from the outside.
You mentioned the documentary, Resurrect Dead, 2011.
Justin Doerr, a Philadelphia artist, spent years obsessively tracking this, along with filmmaker John Foy, who directed the documentary. They went deep into the Verna theory, tried to verify it. The film won the directing award at Sundance. It's really, it's something. But even after all of that work, and it was serious, dedicated work, they couldn't prove it conclusively. Nobody had hard evidence. Nobody had a confession. They had a strong theory and a lot of circumstantial threads.
What's left now of the tiles themselves?
Most of them are gone. Most were destroyed by road work, repaving, construction, just the ordinary churn of city maintenance. Nobody was paying attention to preserve them when they were being laid. Philadelphia now recognizes the surviving ones. The streets department has said they'll try to preserve them where they can. There are maybe a dozen left that are still legible in the city. A few more, scattered, that only tile hunters know about.
Tile hunters.
People who go looking. There's a whole subculture, I guess. People who walk the intersections where tiles were documented to see if any are still there. Some of them find new ones occasionally, or partial ones that hadn't been recorded. And every time one is found, there's this feeling of, oh, it held on.
Here is what I keep coming back to, Helena. This person, whoever they were, put this enormous effort into communicating something. And we still don't know what they meant. Not really.
That's the part that gets under my skin, too. Because, you know, it's easy to dismiss this as the work of a troubled person. Maybe it was. But the message isn't nothing. Resurrect the dead on Jupiter. Think about what that means to someone who actually believes it. It means death isn't the end. It means the people you've lost are somewhere, waiting. It means there's a plan, there's a destination. And someone felt strongly enough about that to spend years of their life pressing it into the street, one tile at a time, in city after city, under traffic, in the dark.
That's a form of faith.
It is a very particular kind, and the tiles are still out there, some of them, under the cars. And if you know where to look, you can still find one.
Dr. Helena Marsh, everyone. We're going to take a quick break and then we open the phones. Night owls, stay right where you are.
Hold that thought. And hold the line. Strangely Odd with Sterling Gray. We'll be right back.
Tonight's broadcast is brought to you by Polaris Field Notebooks. You know how it goes. You see something out there, in the field, on the highway, in your own backyard, and by morning the details start to slip away. The shape of it, the exact time, what the air smelled like. Polaris Field Notebooks were made by people who understand. Waxed cover, acid-free paper, a little compass embossed on the front. Fits in a coat pocket. Write it down while it's fresh. Your future self will thank you. Polaris Field Notebooks, for the things you can't quite explain. Strangely Odd is brought to you by Double Secret Labs. We do science, so you don't have to. What they actually do over there? Well, nobody's quite sure. I'm not certain they'd tell you even if you asked. But they keep these strange hours lit. So like and subscribe to Double Secret Labs and find Strangely Odd on YouTube or wherever you listen to your podcasts. Remember the name. Double Secret Labs. You're listening to Strangely Odd.
This is Strangely Odd with Sterling Gray. You found the strange hours, and they've found you. Stay right where you are.
And we're back. Open lines now. If you've seen a tile, if you've been out there looking, or if this hits something you know, the phones are open. Let's go to Linda in Pennsylvania. Linda, you're on Strangely Odd.
Hi, Sterling. Yes, Thank you for taking my call. I saw one. In 1989. I lived in Philadelphia then, near Center City, and I walked the same block every morning. And one day there it was, on Market Street.
You remember it after all these years.
I do. Because it was the color first. It had color, not just the text. It had this sort of red-brown and yellow tan. And then I read it, and I thought, is this a joke? Who does this? Who does this and puts it in the middle of the street? I tried to tell people at work, and they looked at me like I'd lost my mind. Like I'd hallucinated a mosaic in the pavement. And I kept going back to look at it, for weeks, just to make sure it was still real.
It was. Linda, thank you so much for calling in. Let's go to Danny. Danny, you're on.
Hey, yeah, Sterling. So I'm one of those tile hunters your guest was talking about. I've documented 7 tiles in 3 cities over the past few years.
7 tiles. Tell me.
The thing people don't understand is how degraded most of them are now. Even the ones that are technically still there, they're worn down. The colors are mostly gone. In some cases, you can barely read the text. And once you know one is there and you go back 3 years later and it's just gone, paved over. It's like watching something disappear in real time. I tried once to lift a damaged one, just to save it somehow. It crumbled. The material's it doesn't survive. It was only ever meant to live in the road, under the pressure. Take it out, and it falls apart.
something that can only exist in the conditions that were trying to destroy it. Danny, thank you. Helena, does that track with what you found?
It does. Yes, they're road objects. They were designed to be embedded and read in place. Taking them out of that context breaks them. There's something almost, I don't know, poetic about that. They only survive if you leave them where they were meant to be.
Let's go to Rose in Pittsburgh. Rose, you're on Strangely Odd.
Hi, Sterling. I found one in Pittsburgh, on a street corner near downtown, maybe 10 years ago. And it wasn't just the main message. There was another piece near it, kind of attached, but also separate. And it had, I don't know how to describe it.
Try.
It was angry. The main tile, Toynbee idea, resurrect dead, all of that. That feels almost peaceful compared. But this extension piece had names on it, names of newspapers, and just rage, accusations, something about House of Hades. I took pictures. I couldn't stop thinking about it for a long time. Like, whoever made this had been... They felt very wronged. By someone. By the world. And the main message is almost serene in comparison. And then you get this other piece and you realize there's a lot more going on under there.
Rose, thank you. You gave me chills with that. And we have one more caller. No name on the board, no city. Caller, go ahead. You're on Strangely Odd.
Yeah, I'm here. Sterling.
Friend, good to hear you. Same booth?
Same booth. Quarter's running low, so I'll make it quick.
Then make it quick.
Been thinking about your show tonight, the tiles, and I need to tell you something. There's a marking on the sidewalk, about 3 feet from this booth. Been there as long as I've been using this phone.
What kind of marking?
I can't read it. It's not letters, I don't think. Or if it is, they're worn down past reading. But there's a shape to it, a pattern, and it's not a crack. It was put there. Whatever it is, it was put there on purpose.
How long has it been there?
Years. I've been walking past it for years, and I thought, everyone walks past things for years without knowing what they're walking past.
You never looked it up? Try to document it?
I'm not much of a documenter, Sterling. You know that about me.
I do know that.
But what you were talking about tonight, someone going city to city in the dark, placing messages in the road, and nobody knowing. Decades. The message just sitting there, waiting for somebody to look down at exactly the right moment. That's not crazy, Sterling. That's patient. Whatever you want to say about the man, that's patient.
It is, friend. It really is.
I'm going to look at that marking when I hang up. Take a real look for once. Maybe I'll call again when I know what it says.
I'll be here. Stay warm out there.
I always do.
Friends, we've got one more thing before the break. The Numbers Station Puzzler. Stay with me. My friends, the Numbers Station Puzzler is upon us once again. Out there in the dark, a message is always waiting to be read. You just have to know where to look. She'll speak now. Listen to every group and write them down. And as always, the key you need to unlock her is already in the air, hidden in what I've said. If you've been paying attention tonight, you may already have it. Crack it and write to doublesecretlabs@gmail.com with your answer and the episode number.
Attention. Attention. Begin message. 24030 71109 22110 31318 14071 708. Message ends. Message ends.
There she is. Find the key, crack the message, and email your answer with tonight's episode number, episode 55, to doublesecretlabs@gmail.com. Get it right, and your name goes in the hat. One of these nights, your phone could ring, and the number on the other end reaches this very studio. Crack it, night owls. Now, we take that break.
More strangely odd in just a moment. Don't touch that dial, night owls. Sterling Gray returns right after this.
Tonight's broadcast, like every broadcast, is brought to you by Double Secret Labs. Double Secret Labs. Their slogan? We do science, so you don't have to. Now, what kind of science exactly? That's a fair question, friends. I've asked. They don't say. And I'm not sure anyone outside that building could tell you what goes on inside it. But the check's clear, the lights stay on. So do yourself a favor, friends. Like and subscribe to Double Secret Labs. And find the show itself, Strangely Odd, on YouTube, or wherever you get your podcasts. Take us into the dark with you. Double Secret Labs. We do science, so you don't have to. Folks, that's our hour together. Lock your doors, draw the curtains, and if you hear something out there, just remember, you're not the only one listening. I'm Sterling Gray. This has been Strangely Odd. We'll see you tomorrow night, in the strange hours.